Life operates on principles far beyond what we see. Every action, every word, every thought is a seed. And the truth is simple: what you give will come back to you pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Whether it is love or hate, kindness or cruelty, whatever you release into the world will return to you multiplied. This is not just a philosophical idea, it is an unchanging law that governs the universe. You can't plant thorns and expect to harvest roses. Every harmful word, every unjust action is a seed planted in the soil of life. And just as seeds sprout in their due season, so will the consequences of our actions, whether good or bad. This is what some call the law of reciprocity. If you choose to hurt others, that harm will return to you tenfold, sometimes from places you least expect. When people act with deceit, jealousy, or anger, it may seem like they are winning in the short term. But here's the truth: there is no such thing as an escape from consequence. Life will always pay back every debt, and often with interest. What you sow, you will reap only more, only greater, and only at a time when you least expect it. But why does negativity multiply so quickly? Because evil never returns in the same size it was given. It grows and spreads. When someone spreads lies, that falsehood has the power to destroy reputations, families, and friendships. And when harm comes back to them, it will strike harder than they ever anticipated. But let me remind you, no matter what harm has been done to you, you must not let bitterness take root. When you carry anger and resentment, you become a carrier of the same destructive energy that was used against you. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's power. It frees you from becoming a reflection of those who harmed you. Remember this: you cannot control what others do to you, but you can control how you respond. And when you choose to respond with grace, kindness, and love, you sow seeds of goodness into your future. Good cancels evil every time. This is why it's essential to keep your heart pure, even when others have wronged you. There's no need to seek revenge or plot against those who hurt you. The very same law that ensures the return of good will ensure the return of evil to those who dish it out. The bad they give will circle back to them tenfold. Let them think they've won. Let them think their actions will go unpunished. But know this: character always reveals destiny. What they plant in the lives of others will be planted in theirs. No seed remains buried forever. Everything will come to harvest in its appointed time. So keep your heart right. Walk in integrity. Do good even when wronged. And trust the process. Because what they give, they will surely receive, and much more than they ever imagined. The law of reciprocity is an unchanging principle that governs human behavior and outcomes, rooted in the idea that everything we release, whether through actions, words, or intentions, eventually finds its way back to us. This law operates much like a natural cycle. Just as the earth returns a harvest based on the seeds planted, life returns consequences based on the actions we sow. It doesn't matter whether the actions are intentional or unconscious. What is given will always return, often multiplied beyond its original form. When a person gives kindness, patience, or generosity, they create a ripple that moves outward, touching lives in ways they may never witness. Eventually, the same energy they put into the world will flow back to them, often at unexpected times and from unexpected sources. The same is true for negative actions. Words spoken in anger or deeds motivated by selfishness may seem to have immediate benefits, but those actions plant seeds of discord that will sprout in due season, often catching the person off guard. The power of reciprocity lies in its impartiality. It is the law that applies equally to everyone, regardless of status, belief, or intentions. Even when someone acts in secret or believes they have avoided the consequences of their actions, reciprocity remains active. Life has a way of returning what was given, not necessarily from the same person or situation, but in a form that matches the intent and impact of the original action. A small act of harm can return as a larger consequence, just as a small act of kindness can open doors to unimaginable blessings. This principle teaches us responsibility. It reminds us that we are not separate from the world we live in, but are constantly interacting with it through the choices we make. Our actions create cycles, whether of peace or chaos, and those cycles eventually return to us. There is no way to outrun the results of what we sow. The only way to ensure positive return is to consistently give good, even when it seems unrewarded or unnoticed. Reciprocity also cultivates humility. When we understand that life will return whatever we release, we become more mindful of our behavior and how we treat others. It encourages us to act with integrity and fairness, knowing that even the smallest gesture carries the potential to impact our future. Through this law, we learn that no action is isolated. Everything we do contributes to the cycle of give and take that shapes the course of our lives. Every action we take is like planting a seed in the soil of life. These seeds, whether positive or negative, do not disappear after being sown. Instead, they grow, develop, and eventually bear fruit in due time. The quality and type of fruit that emerges depend entirely on the kind of seed we plant. Good actions such as kindness, honesty, or patience will produce fruit that nourishes our lives and the lives of others. On the other hand, actions rooted in selfishness, deceit, or harm will eventually grow into thorns and burdens. The challenging part about planting seeds is that the results are not always immediate. There is always a delay between planting and harvest. This delay can sometimes deceive people into thinking that their actions, especially negative ones, have no consequences. But like any farmer knows, the harvest always comes. It may take weeks, months, or even years, but the seeds will sprout in their season, and the fruit will reflect the nature of what was planted. We must understand that actions are cumulative, just like planting seeds in a garden. Each good choice we make adds another healthy plant to the garden of our lives. Similarly, every harmful action adds weeds that choke and disrupt growth. Over time, these actions accumulate, forming patterns and habits that shape our destiny. The fruit we bear, whether peace, joy, or struggle, is a reflection of the seeds we have consistently sown over time. This principle encourages us to be intentional with our choices, knowing that we cannot escape the harvest. If we plant seeds of dishonesty or resentment, we should not be surprised when distrust or broken relationships take root in our lives. Conversely, when we sow seeds of encouragement, forgiveness, and love, we create an environment where growth, healing, and peace flourish. The fruit of these seeds benefits not only us, but also the people connected to us, creating a ripple effect that extends beyond our immediate circle. Another truth about seeds is that they multiply. A single apple seed doesn't produce just one apple. It grows into a tree that yields many apples, each containing more seeds. In the same way, our actions, good or bad, do not return to us in the same measure, but often multiplied many times over. A simple word of encouragement can inspire someone for a lifetime, while a moment of betrayal can lead to years of mistrust and division. This is why we must be mindful of the seeds we sow. Small actions can have far-reaching consequences. The seeds we plant define the future we create. We cannot plant seeds of selfishness and expect a harvest of generosity, nor can we sow bitterness and expect peace to grow. If we want a life that is fruitful and abundant, filled with good relationships, opportunities, and peace, we must begin by planting seeds that align with that vision. The power is in our hands. Every action is a seed. What grows from it is up to us. The boomerang principle teaches that whatever we send out, whether in the form of actions, words, thoughts, or intentions, will inevitably return to us, often with greater force and impact. Just as a boomerang thrown into the air comes back to the person who released it, the energy, behavior, and emotions we project into the world circle back to us, sometimes from unexpected sources. This principle serves as a reminder that life mirrors our actions, and nothing we do is truly isolated. At first glance, it may seem that some people can get away with harmful actions. They might deceive, manipulate, or hurt others without immediate consequences, leading them to believe they've escaped accountability. But the boomerang principle assures us that no action, no matter how small or hidden, goes unnoticed by life. Every act of harm is like throwing a boomerang into the air. It might take time, but it will eventually return, often when the person is least prepared for it. What's thrown with malice or selfishness always comes back heavier, harder, and faster. This principle does not only apply to negative actions. It works just as powerfully in the realm of goodness and kindness. Acts of love, encouragement, and service return to us in the form of unexpected blessings, opportunities, and favor. A small act of kindness towards someone today might come back years later when we need help the most. What we give to others will eventually find its way back into our own lives, sometimes through different people or circumstances, but always in alignment with what we first released. The force of return often exceeds what was originally given. This is the reason people who spread negativity find themselves trapped in cycles of misfortune, conflict, or despair. They may try to shift blame onto others, unaware that they are reaping the consequences of the very seeds they planted. The more negativity they release into the world, the more it multiplies and circles back into their lives. Similarly, those who sow compassion and generosity often experience waves of unexpected goodness that flow into every aspect of their lives. A key lesson of the boomerang principle is the importance of self-awareness and accountability. It calls us to think carefully before we act, speak, or even think, understanding that every thought and action is an energy set in motion. Just as we would be cautious when throwing a physical boomerang, we must be mindful of the emotional, mental, and spiritual boomerangs we release. There is no avoiding the return. It may come at a different time, in a different form, or from a different source, but it will always reflect the original intent behind our actions. The principle also emphasizes personal responsibility. If we want peace, we must send peace. If we desire respect, we must treat others with respect. We cannot hope for a life filled with joy if we are constantly projecting negativity, nor can we expect trust if we deceive others. We are not victims of life, but participants, constantly shaping our experience by what we release into the world. The boomerang principle teaches us to be intentional about what we project. It urges us to throw only what we are prepared to catch. If we release harm, we must be ready to receive harm in return. If we release love, we position ourselves to receive it in abundance. This principle invites us to live with integrity, knowing that what we give will come back often greater than what we sent out. Invisible laws govern life, shaping every outcome, decision, and consequence, whether we recognize them or not. These laws operate in the background, like unseen forces orchestrating the flow of events. Just as natural laws such as gravity function without our permission or awareness, these invisible principles influence human behavior, relationships, and success. They cannot be manipulated or avoided. They simply work impartially, predictably, and consistently, regardless of whether one believes in them. One such law is the principle of cause and effect. Every action triggers a corresponding reaction, and every choice leads to consequences, good or bad. This law teaches us that nothing happens by chance. There is always a reason every outcome, even if it isn't immediately obvious. If we sow kindness, we reap kindness. If we plant dishonesty, we harvest mistrust. Life responds to what we put into it, and every thought, word, or deed we release sets a chain of events into motion that will eventually circle back to us. Another invisible law is the principle of reciprocity. What we give to others, whether it's love, respect, criticism, or harm, will eventually come back to us in some form. This law reminds us that the world reflects our behavior, making us architects of our own experiences. Even when we feel unnoticed or unappreciated for the good we do, the law of reciprocity ensures that every positive effort will find its reward. Similarly, any harm we cause, whether through actions or intentions, sets a ripple in motion that will return to us, often magnified. The law of seasons teaches that everything in life operates in cycles. Just as nature moves through seasons of growth, rest, and renewal, our lives go through stages of preparation, waiting, and harvesting. Patience is essential because we do not control the timing of results. What is sown in one season may only be reaped much later. This invisible law reminds us to trust the process and to stay committed, even when we don't see immediate progress. Life will reward those who are faithful during seasons of waiting, just as a farmer eventually reaps a harvest after months of nurturing the soil. Then there is the law of intention, which emphasizes the importance of motives. It's not just what we do, but why we do it. That determines the quality of what comes back to us. Actions rooted in selfishness, even if disguised as kindness, will produce emptiness or resentment. Conversely, even small acts of kindness done with genuine care can yield great rewards. Life responds to the heart behind the action, not just the action itself. This law encourages us to check our motives and be intentional in how we treat others. Another invisible law is the principle of attraction. The thoughts, beliefs, and energy we carry within us tend to draw similar experiences into our lives. If we dwell on negativity, we attract negativity. If we carry a spirit of gratitude and expectation, opportunities and favor seem to find their way to us. This principle teaches us that we shape our reality from the inside out, and the energy we project becomes the life we experience. These invisible laws are neutral. They do not favor one person over another. They apply universally, without exception, across time, culture, or circumstance. Just as gravity pulls on everyone equally, these laws govern every human being. They are impartial, meaning that the wealthy, the poor, the believer, and the skeptic all live under the same principles. This is why blaming others for life's outcomes is futile. We are all subject to these laws, and life mirrors the choices we make within them. Living in alignment with these laws requires wisdom, responsibility, and mindfulness. The challenge lies not in avoiding the laws, but in learning how to work with them. If we embrace them, we unlock the ability to create meaningful, intentional lives. We can shape outcomes by sowing good seeds, acting with pure motives, and maintaining patience through life's seasons. But if we ignore or resist these laws, life will still follow them, resulting in frustration, disappointment, and unintended consequences. These invisible laws serve as guides for how we should live. They remind us that every choice matters, every action has consequences, and every thought shapes our reality. By understanding and respecting these principles, we gain control over our lives, knowing that the outcomes we experience are the result of what we give, believe, and do. When we align our lives with these laws, we position ourselves to receive life's highest rewards. Consequences are inevitable because every choice, action, and even inaction carries a result that cannot be escaped. Life operates on principles of cause and effect, meaning that whatever we do, whether good or bad, will produce outcomes that align with the nature of those actions. We may not always see the consequences immediately, and sometimes they unfold in ways we don't expect, but they always come. Just as gravity pulls everything down without exception, the consequences of our behavior follow us, whether we are ready for them or not. Many people deceive themselves into believing they can escape the repercussions of their actions. They may think that because no one saw what they did, or because the effects are delayed, the consequences won't arrive. But life operates like a patient judge. It might not react instantly, but it never forgets. Harmful actions, dishonesty, or betrayal will eventually circle back, often at the most inconvenient moments. It's like planting seeds in the soil, though they take time to grow. The harvest is inevitable, and the fruit will always reflect the seed sown. Consequences are not necessarily punishments. They are simply the natural outcomes of the choices we make, teaching us valuable lessons along the way. If you neglect your health, the consequence might be illness. If you fail to nurture relationships, the consequence will be isolation or broken trust. On the other hand, when you act with kindness, integrity, and discipline, the result is peace, joy, and long-lasting relationships. Every decision we make, whether intentional or careless, creates ripples that shape our future. One of the reasons consequences feel unavoidable is because they compound over time. Small, repeated actions, whether good or bad, build momentum and eventually produce large-scale outcomes. For example, consistently ignoring small responsibilities at work may seem harmless at first, but over time, it can lead to missed opportunities, damaged reputations, or even job loss. Similarly, small acts of generosity or discipline, when sustained over time, lead to significant achievements and blessings. The choices we make every day accumulate, forming the foundation of the life we ultimately live. The inevitability of consequences also highlights the importance of personal responsibility. We cannot blame others or circumstances for the outcomes we face if those outcomes are tied to the choices we made. Even in situations where external factors play a role, how we respond creates a new set of consequences. For example, someone may harm us, but if we respond with bitterness and revenge, we set ourselves on a destructive path. In contrast, choosing forgiveness or restraint might not erase the hurt, but opens the door for peace and healing to enter our lives. Consequences are impartial and universal. They apply to everyone, regardless of status, beliefs, or intentions. Just as rain falls on both the righteous and the wicked, consequences follow everyone according to their actions. This principle ensures fairness in life. Those who act unjustly may seem to prosper temporarily, but their actions will eventually bring hardship, shame, or loss. In the same way, those who make sacrifices for good may struggle at first, but their efforts will not be in vain. The consequences will catch up, rewarding them at the right time. Another aspect of the inevitability of consequences is that they often come when we least expect them. We might forget an action we took years ago, but life remembers. The kindness we showed to a stranger may return as a blessing from someone entirely unrelated, while harm we caused someone in the past might show up later as a personal struggle or loss. This delayed effect teaches us that life is interconnected and no action exists in isolation. What we release into the world, whether positive or negative, eventually finds its way back to us, even if through unexpected channels. The inevitability of consequences is not meant to discourage or frighten us, but to remind us of the power we hold over our own lives. We are the architects of our future, shaping it daily through the actions and decisions we make. There is freedom in this realization because it means that if we are not satisfied with the results we are experiencing, we can make different choices today to change tomorrow's outcomes. Even when we have made mistakes in the past, taking responsibility and making better decisions now sets a new course for the future. Consequences are life's way of teaching us accountability and growth. They reveal the truth about our actions and help us understand what works and what doesn't. They encourage us to be mindful and intentional, knowing that every choice will eventually bear fruit. While we cannot escape consequences, we can influence them by choosing to act with wisdom, love, and integrity. By aligning our actions with good principles, we ensure that when the inevitable consequences arrive, they bring peace, joy, and fulfillment rather than regret. Negativity multiplies quickly because it spreads like a virus, growing rapidly and influencing everything it touches. A single negative thought, word, or action has the power to contaminate not only the individual but also their environment, relationships, and future decisions. Just as a spark can ignite a wildfire, negativity, when unchecked, can escalate beyond what we expect or control. What begins as a small complaint, a moment of anger, or a critical remark can soon grow into a pattern of behavior that consumes both the giver and the receiver. One of the reasons negativity spreads so easily is because it appeals to our lower instincts, such as fear, insecurity, and resentment. These emotions are powerful and contagious. They thrive when fed, creating a cycle that is difficult to break. For instance, when someone spreads gossip or criticism, others often feel drawn to participate, adding fuel to the fire. Once negativity is released, it encourages more of the same, creating a chain reaction that magnifies the original issue. What starts as a minor grievance can escalate into conflict, mistrust, or division, affecting not only the individuals involved but also the people around them. Negativity also breeds more negativity because it reinforces negative thinking patterns. A person who constantly dwells on problems and complaints tends to attract similar thoughts and experiences. When we focus on what's wrong, we become blind to what's right. Negative thinking becomes a mental habit that shapes how we perceive the world, leading us to interpret even neutral or positive situations through a negative lens. Over time, this mindset limits growth, stifles joy, and keeps us trapped in cycles of frustration and disappointment. In relationships, negativity can spread with devastating speed. Harsh words or unkind actions leave lasting emotional scars that take time to heal, and the hurt often prompts the injured party to retaliate or withdraw. Small misunderstandings, if handled negatively, can quickly turn into arguments, resentment, and disconnection. Negativity doesn't just impact the people directly involved, it seeps into families, friendships, and workplaces, creating toxic environments where trust, peace, and cooperation are eroded. Like poison in a well, it taints everything that draws from it. Negativity also multiplies because it is easier to release than positivity. Criticism requires little effort, but encouragement demands thoughtfulness and sincerity. Complaining feels more natural than gratitude, and anger is easier to express than forgiveness. Once negativity gains momentum, it feeds on itself, pulling us deeper into frustration and hopelessness. Even those with good intentions can find themselves caught in the undertow, dragged into negativity simply by exposure to it. Another reason negativity grows quickly is that it thrives in environments where accountability is absent. When people are not challenged to think differently or held accountable for their words and actions, negativity flourishes unchecked. It becomes the norm, shaping group dynamics and influencing behavior. Workplaces, families, or friendships that tolerate gossip, criticism, or blame without addressing them soon find themselves overwhelmed by division and distrust. In such environments, positive voices are often drowned out, and efforts to restore harmony become more difficult with time. Negativity doesn't just affect emotions, it influences outcomes and attracts more negative experiences. People who dwell on negative thoughts and emotions tend to attract challenges, conflicts, and obstacles, reinforcing their pessimistic outlook. This creates a self-fulfilling cycle. Negative thinking produces negative results, which in turn generate more negativity. It becomes easy to believe that life is unfair, when in reality, the negativity we release into the world returns to us multiplied. The more we focus on what's wrong, the more we invite problems into our lives. However, negativity is not just about personal feelings, it affects the decisions we make. A negative mindset narrows our vision, making us more likely to give up, avoid opportunities, or sabotage our own success. When negativity takes root, We stop believing that things can improve, leading to poor choices that reflect our doubts and fears. The habit of seeing obstacles instead of opportunities prevents growth and limits what we can achieve. This makes negativity especially dangerous because it not only multiplies in the present, but also steals the potential of the future. Once negativity spreads, reversing its effects requires conscious effort. It is much easier to prevent negativity from taking root than to uproot it once it has multiplied. This is why it is crucial to guard our thoughts, words, and actions carefully. We must recognize negativity in its early stages, whether in the form of a complaint, a grudge, or a pessimistic thought, and replace it with gratitude, kindness, or hope before it grows. By choosing positivity in small, intentional ways, we can stop negativity from spreading further. Negativity grows quickly because it is fueled by human nature's weaknesses: fear, blame, anger, and doubt. It pulls us into a cycle of destruction that affects our emotions, relationships, and life outcomes. But while negativity may spread easily, we still have the power to stop it at its source. The decision to focus on what is good, speak words that uplift, and act with kindness can break the cycle and create a new pattern, one of growth, peace, and possibility. Though negativity multiplies quickly, the seeds of positivity, when nurtured, bear far greater fruit. Evil's reward is unpredictable because the consequences of harmful actions often unfold in unexpected ways. Those who engage in wrongdoing may believe they have control over the outcome, but evil never plays by predictable rules. When people act with malice, whether through deceit, betrayal, or injustice, they set forces in motion that can spiral far beyond their intentions, leading to results that even they could not foresee. Just as a wildfire spreads uncontrollably once ignited, the consequences of evil acts multiply in ways that are often surprising and destructive. People who engage in evil often assume they can manipulate the situation or avoid repercussions entirely. They may think they can control who gets hurt, what the fallout will be, or when the consequences will catch up with them. But life does not operate on their timetable, nor does it conform to their expectations. Harmful actions may yield temporary success or satisfaction, but the reward of evil often comes disguised as chaos. What was intended as a small wrong can mushroom into a crisis, unraveling plans, relationships, and reputations in unexpected ways. One of the reasons evil's reward is unpredictable is that it affects more than just the intended target. Evil spreads like ripples in water, touching people and circumstances far beyond what was originally planned. A lie told to protect oneself might escalate into a web of deception involving multiple people. Betrayal in one area of life, such as a business deal or relationship, can bleed into other areas, damaging trust and creating unforeseen complications. Even when the harm seems isolated at first, the consequences can manifest in other forms: lost opportunities, broken relationships, or unexpected hardships. Evil also creates unintended consequences for the person committing it. Those who engage in wrongdoing often believe they are immune to the damage they inflict on others. But evil is like a boomerang. It returns with greater force and strikes when least expected. The thief may steal without being caught at first, but the act itself changes them, making dishonesty a habit that eventually leads to exposure and loss. Someone who manipulates others for personal gain may enjoy short-term success, but over time they lose trust and credibility, often ruining future opportunities. The reward of evil is not only external, it also corrupts the person within, making it harder for them to find peace, joy, or fulfillment. Another reason evil's reward is so unpredictable is that the timing of consequences is beyond human control. Wrongdoing may appear to go unpunished for months or even years, giving the illusion that evil can prosper without consequence. But just because consequences are delayed doesn't mean they won't come. They often surface at moments of vulnerability or success, catching the wrongdoer off guard. A hidden sin may be exposed when it is least convenient, or a betrayal may be revealed at a time when trust is needed most. The unpredictability of these consequences adds to the weight of the punishment, making it harder to prepare for or avoid them. Evil also creates a ripple effect, where the consequences do not remain confined to the original act. What begins as a small wrong can spiral out of control, affecting areas of life that were never intended to be touched. Someone who engages in deceit might think they are only harming one person or situation, but the deception can grow, pulling in other people and creating new conflicts. It is like planting a seed of poison. Once it takes root, it spreads through the soil, contaminating everything around it. Even if the wrongdoer tries to reverse course, they may find that the damage is already done, and the consequences have taken on a life of their own. Another layer of unpredictability lies in the way life repays evil with more than was given. The consequences of wrongdoing often return with multiplied intensity, far beyond what was originally expected. An act of betrayal may result not only in the loss of a friendship, but also in the loss of trust in other relationships. A single dishonest act in business could lead to the collapse of a career or financial ruin. When we release evil into the world, we lose control over how it grows, and when it becomes small wrongs can create storms that were never intended. The mental and emotional toll of evil is also part of its unpredictable reward. Those who harm others often believe they will feel satisfied or fulfilled, but the reality is usually opposite. Guilt, anxiety, and fear often accompany wrongdoing, even if the consequences are not immediate. The mind becomes restless and the soul becomes heavy, burdened by the knowledge of what has been done. This internal struggle can rob a person of peace and joy, leaving them haunted by the very actions they thought would bring satisfaction. Even if external consequences are avoided for a time, the inner turmoil can be relentless, creating suffering from within. Evil's reward also extends beyond the individual, impacting future generations and communities. A person's wrongdoing can set a precedent for others, creating cycles of harm that perpetuate through families, workplaces, or societies. For example, a parent's dishonesty may teach a child to lie, or a leader's abuse of power may encourage corruption in those who follow. What begins as one person's evil can multiply, creating widespread damage that outlasts the original act. The impact may not always be immediate, but it will show up over time, affecting people and situations in ways the wrongdoer never anticipated. The reward of evil is unpredictable because it operates outside of human control and understanding. It grows, spreads, and returns in ways that no one can fully foresee, often catching the wrongdoer by surprise. The forces set in motion by harmful actions have a life of their own, shaping the future in unexpected and often destructive ways. This unpredictability serves as a reminder that no one can truly escape the consequences of their actions, and that the price of evil is always higher than anticipated. Even when evil seems to bring temporary success, the ultimate reward is chaos, loss, and regret. What appears to be a gain often turns into a curse, revealing itself at the most inconvenient time. This is why wisdom teaches us to resist the temptation of wrongdoing, no matter how small or justified it may seem. Evil might promise quick rewards, but the outcome is always uncertain, and more often than not, it returns with consequences far worse than expected. Forgiveness prevents bitterness by breaking the cycle of anger, resentment, and emotional pain before it takes root and poisons the heart. When someone hurts us, whether through betrayal, rejection, or unfair treatment, the natural response is to feel anger and hold on to that pain. However, when we refuse to forgive, we carry that hurt with us, allowing it to grow into bitterness. Over time, this bitterness can consume our thoughts, emotions, and relationships, leaving us trapped in a prison of negativity. Forgiveness is the only way to release ourselves from this cycle and protect our hearts from becoming hardened. Bitterness is often the result of unresolved anger. When we replay past offenses in our minds, nurturing feelings of injustice and betrayal, we empower the hurt to shape how we see ourselves, others, and the world. Bitterness is not just about the original offense. It becomes a state of mind that influences every part of life. It steals joy, clouds judgment, and affects how we interact with others, even those who were not involved in the original hurt. Forgiveness acts as a healing agent, preventing that anger from turning into resentment and ensuring we are not controlled by our past. One of the greatest dangers of bitterness is that it isolates us emotionally. It creates walls between us and the people around us, making it difficult to trust or connect fully. A bitter heart assumes the worst of others, finds it hard to accept love or kindness, and often keeps people at a distance. This isolation not only impacts relationships, but also deepens feelings of loneliness and frustration, trapping us in a cycle of emotional pain. Forgiveness is the antidote. It restores connection and helps rebuild trust by allowing us to let go of the offense and make room for healing. Bitterness does not just affect emotions, it also takes a toll on physical health. Studies have shown that chronic anger and resentment are linked to higher stress levels, which can contribute to heart disease, weakened immunity, and other health issues. The longer we hold on to bitterness, the more it drains our energy and affects our well-being. Forgiveness, by contrast, reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and promotes emotional peace. It frees us from the burden of carrying the weight of the offense, restoring both mental and physical balance. Forgiveness is not about condoning or excusing the wrong done to us. It is about choosing not to let that wrong define us or control our future. When we forgive, we are not saying that what happened was acceptable or that it should be forgotten. Instead, we are choosing to release the power that the offense has over us. This choice allows us to reclaim our emotional freedom and live without the constant burden of anger and resentment. It helps us shift our focus from what was done to us to what lies ahead, opening the door to new opportunities for growth and happiness. Bitterness, if left unchecked, turns into a habit. It becomes a way of thinking that distorts how we perceive future interactions and relationships. People who harbor bitterness often see new situations through the lens of old hurts, making it difficult to experience joy or build trust. They may expect to be wronged again, leading them to act defensively or push others away. Forgiveness prevents this by interrupting the pattern before it becomes a mindset. It helps us break free from the need to relive the pain and ensures that one offense does not determine the rest of our lives. Forgiveness also teaches us humility and empathy. When we let go of resentment, we acknowledge that everyone, including ourselves, is capable of mistakes. It reminds us that we have likely hurt others, intentionally or unintentionally, and that we too need grace and forgiveness. This perspective fosters compassion, making it easier to understand others' flaws and shortcomings. Empathy becomes a tool for healing, helping us to see the humanity in those who hurt us and enabling us to respond with kindness instead of bitterness. Carrying bitterness also blocks us from receiving peace and joy. When we are consumed with resentment, we miss out on the beauty and blessings of the present moment. Our minds stay stuck in the past, replaying old wounds instead of embracing new opportunities. Forgiveness shifts our focus. It allows us to leave behind what cannot be changed and invites us to experience life with a sense of hope and openness. By choosing forgiveness, we free ourselves to receive happiness, joy, and peace that bitterness would otherwise steal from us. Another reason forgiveness is essential is that it empowers us to take back control of our emotions and lives. When we refuse to forgive, we give the offender power over us, allowing them to continue influencing how we feel and act. In many ways, holding on to bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. The offender may move on with their life, but we remain trapped in a prison of our own making. Forgiveness breaks that hold. It shifts the power back to us, giving us the freedom to choose peace over pain. Forgiveness also protects future relationships. A bitter heart cannot form healthy connections because it views others through the lens of past hurts. Old wounds often resurface in new relationships, creating unnecessary conflict and tension. If left unaddressed, unresolved bitterness can sabotage our friendships, romantic relationships, and family bonds. Forgiveness ensures that we do not carry old baggage into new experiences. It creates space for fresh starts, allowing us to engage with others in a healthy and meaningful way. Forgiveness is not just an act of kindness toward others, it is an act of self-love. It is a decision to value our peace of mind over the need for revenge or justice. Bitterness ties us to the offense and holds us hostage to the past, but forgiveness sets us free. It opens the door to healing, growth, and renewal, ensuring that we are not defined by what was done to us, but by how we choose to respond. In forgiving others, we create space for peace to enter our lives and prevent bitterness from taking root. Good cancels evil by providing a powerful counterbalance to negativity, harm, and injustice in our lives. When faced with evil, whether in the form of hatred, betrayal, or wrongdoing, our instinct might be to retaliate or respond in kind. However, this reaction often perpetuates a cycle of violence and negativity that can be difficult to escape. Instead, choosing to respond with goodness, kindness, and love can effectively neutralize the impact of evil and restore harmony to our lives and relationships. One of the most profound aspects of goodness is its ability to transform situations. When we encounter evil, it can be tempting to allow anger and resentment to take hold. Yet by choosing to act in a good and loving manner, we break the cycle of negativity and create an opportunity for healing. For instance, a simple act of kindness can dispel a tense situation, demonstrating that love and compassion are stronger than hate. Goodness has a way of disarming evil by rendering it powerless in the face of selfless love. Good acts not only challenge the presence of evil, but also serve as a reminder of our shared humanity. When we respond to evil with goodness, we communicate a message that transcends individual grievances. It shows that we are not just reacting to an offense, we are choosing to uphold values that honor our own dignity and the dignity of others. This act of goodness creates a ripple effect, inspiring those around us to consider their own responses to adversity and injustice. It can lead to a collective shift in mindset where kindness becomes the norm rather than the exception. Goodness acts as a shield against the corrosive effects of evil on our hearts and minds. When we harbor resentment or bitterness in response to wrongdoing, we allow that negativity to take root within us, affecting our mental and emotional well-being. Choosing goodness instead, whether through forgiveness, compassion, or understanding, helps us maintain our inner peace. It prevents us from becoming consumed by anger and instead allows us to rise above the hurt. In essence, good works as a protective barrier that shields our hearts from the damaging effects of evil. Goodness also fosters resilience. When we choose to respond to evil with kindness, we reinforce our ability to withstand adversity. This resilience is built on the understanding that our reactions define our character more than the actions of others. By cultivating a mindset centered on goodness, we equip ourselves with the tools needed to navigate life's challenges. We learn to approach problems not just as obstacles, but as opportunities to practice empathy, patience, and compassion. Good has a transformative power that extends beyond individual interactions. It can affect entire communities and societies. Collective acts of kindness can inspire movements of change, bringing people together to stand against this and promote peace. Goodness can serve as a unifying force, drawing people away from division and toward understanding. For instance, communities that prioritize acts of kindness and support can create environments where evil struggles to take root, effectively diminishing its power and influence. Goodness is not merely a reaction, it is an intentional choice. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, contributes to the greater good. It requires courage and commitment to choose good in the face of evil, especially when it would be easier to retaliate or withdraw. This choice to act righteously despite the circumstances embodies the essence of true strength. It showcases our values and convictions, demonstrating that we stand for something greater than ourselves. Goodness offers hope. In times of darkness, when evil seems overwhelming, acts of goodness shine brightly, illuminating the path forward. They remind us that despite the negativity we may face, there is always a possibility for redemption, healing, and restoration. By embodying good, we inspire hope not only within ourselves, but also in those around us. We become beacons of light, encouraging others to believe in the power of goodness to overcome adversity and to choose love over hate. Good cancels evil by asserting the truth that love, kindness, and compassion are more potent than any act of malice. When we respond to evil with goodness, we actively choose to reshape our circumstances and the world around us. This choice allows us to rise above negativity, heal from past hurts, and contribute to a culture where goodness prevails. In doing so, we not only transform our own lives, but also pave the way for a more just and compassionate society. Goodness, therefore, is a powerful tool in the fight against evil, demonstrating that while evil may exist, it does not have the final say. Character always prevails because it serves as the foundation of our integrity, guiding our actions and decisions even in the face of challenges and temptations. In a world that often values success, status, and power, it is easy to overlook the significance of character. However, true success is measured not just by our achievements, but by the quality of our character and how we treat others along the journey. Character is forged through our values, beliefs, and experiences. It encompasses qualities such as honesty, kindness, resilience, and humility. These traits form the bedrock of who we are and dictate how we respond to adversity. When faced with difficult choices, individuals of strong character will remain committed to their principles, even when it would be easier to compromise or take shortcuts. This unwavering commitment builds trust and respect from others, establishing a reputation that can withstand the test of time. In times of crisis, it is our character that shines through. When the pressures of life mount and the stakes are high, it is easy to act out of fear or self-interest. Yet those with strong character rise to the occasion, demonstrating courage and integrity. They make decisions based not on immediate gain, but on what is right and just. This ability to stand firm in one's beliefs, regardless of external pressures, ultimately leads to lasting respect and admiration from peers and communities. Furthermore, character has a way of influencing and inspiring others. When we consistently act in alignment with our values, we set an example for those around us. People are drawn to authenticity, and character serves as a beacon that attracts others. Leaders who exhibit strong character foster loyalty and dedication among their followers, creating a positive and productive environment. When individuals see integrity in action, it encourages them to adopt similar values, creating a ripple effect that can transform entire communities. The trials and tribulations of life often serve to reveal our true character. In moments of discomfort, stress, or uncertainty, our instinctual reactions come to the forefront. Character acts as a compass, guiding us through turbulent times. Those who may have previously hidden behind facades of strength or confidence often find their true selves exposed when challenges arise. It is in these moments that individuals of strong character can choose to embrace vulnerability and authenticity, fostering deeper connections with others and allowing for personal growth. Character remains steadfast despite changing circumstances, while external factors such as wealth, popularity, or influence may fluctuate. Character is constant. It cannot be bought or fabricated. It must be cultivated over time through deliberate choices, actions. This stability ensures that individuals with strong character will continue to prevail, regardless of the storms they may face. They become pillars of strength for others, embodying the notion that true success is rooted in unwavering principles. Character also equips individuals with resilience. Life is filled with setbacks and disappointments, but those with a strong moral compass tend to bounce back more effectively. Resilience is not just about enduring, it is about rising after a fall, learning from failures, and moving forward with renewed purpose. Character instills a sense of determination and grit, enabling individuals to face challenges head-on and emerge stronger. This resilience is inspiring. It shows others that obstacles can be overcome and that there is power in perseverance. Importantly, character fosters meaningful relationships. In an age where superficial connections often dominate, it is character that lays the groundwork for genuine relationships. Trust, honesty, and mutual respect form the basis of any enduring relationship, and these qualities are intrinsically tied to character. When individuals prioritize character in their interactions, they create an environment where open communication, support, and love can flourish. These relationships enrich our lives, providing us with support and encouragement when we need it most. In the long run, character determines legacy. We may achieve great things in our lives, but it is how we treat others and the values we uphold that people will remember us for. When we prioritize character, we leave behind a legacy that extends beyond material accomplishments. It becomes a reflection of our impact on the lives of others, echoing through generations. Character inspires others to remember not just what we did, but how we made them feel and the principles we stood for. Character always prevails because it is the bedrock of true fulfillment and purpose. Achievements may fade, wealth may be lost, and accolades may be forgotten, but character remains an eternal testament to who we are at our core. Choosing to act with integrity, kindness, and compassion in every situation transforms not just our lives, but the lives of those around us. In a world that often tests our resolve, let us remember that character is our greatest asset. It is what defines us and propels us toward lasting success and meaningful connections. When we commit to living out our values, we cultivate a life where character prevails over all else, leaving a legacy of strength, love, and integrity for future generations. In conclusion, let us remember that character is the silent force that shapes our lives and the lives of those around us. It is not defined by our titles, our possessions, or our momentary successes, but by the choices we make every day, especially when faced with challenges. In a world where external factors may sway us toward the easier path, let us commit to standing firm in our values, choosing kindness over cruelty, integrity over convenience, and compassion over indifference. As we move forward, may we strive to cultivate our character with intention and purpose, knowing that it is the foundation upon which we build our legacies. Let us inspire others through our actions and choices, becoming beacons of hope and resilience in a world that often tests our resolve. When we prioritize character, we not only elevate ourselves, but also empower others to do the same. Remember, true success lies not in what we achieve, but in who we become. Let our character be our guide, our shield, and our legacy. In the end, it is our character that will prevail, shining brightly in the darkness and leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of those we touch. Let us commit today to live lives of unwavering integrity and profound goodness, knowing that in doing so, we will inspire a brighter, more compassionate future for all,